Massive alert. The NFL is on edge as Aaron Rodgers faces an uncertain future. A bombshell announcement has just reverberated across social media, leaving Pittsburgh Steelers fans in utter shock. Aaron Rodgers, one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in NFL history, is once again at the center of the league's headlines as speculation swirls about his next career move. The four-time MVP and Super Bowl champion is caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, with his future hanging in the balance after the New York Jets decided to part ways with the aging quarterback this offseason. At 41 years old, Rodgers now stands at a crossroads, faced with a monumental decision: retire or return for a 21st NFL season. Rodgers' career has been nothing short of legendary. His accolades include 4 MVP awards, a Super Bowl victory, and countless unforgettable moments on the field. But after a challenging year in New York, where the Jets fell short of expectations, Rodgers' place in the NFL future is unclear. Reports suggest that he is currently torn between walking away from the game for good or suiting up for one more season with a new team. With his previous franchise opting to move on, Rodgers is left pondering his next move. The Steelers and Giants, front-runners in the race. As Rodgers ponders his options, 2 teams have emerged as the leading contenders for his services: the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Giants. Both teams present intriguing possibilities, but for different reasons. The Steelers, led by head coach Mike Tomlin, have a storied history of success and a long tradition of elite quarterbacks. While they have Mason Rudolph on their roster, they have not ruled out the possibility of bringing in another veteran presence to challenge for the starting job. Rudolph, who previously served as the Steelers' starter for a time, posted an 8-4-1 record during his tenure, but there are concerns about his ability to lead the team to the next level. Enter Rodgers, who would undoubtedly raise the ceiling for Pittsburgh's offense, given his experience, leadership, and ability to make big plays in clutch situations. However, the Steelers are not the only team in play. The New York Giants have been aggressive in their pursuit of Rodgers, offering him the most lucrative contract offer yet. Rodgers' arrival in New York would pair him with an exciting young core, including star running back Saquon Barkley and dynamic wide receiver Darius Slayton. But it's important to note that money isn't the driving force behind Rodgers' decision-making process. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports that the Steelers' offer is already on the table, and while it's substantial, Rodgers has made it clear that financial terms aren't the primary concern for him. Instead, the future Hall of Famer is taking his time to carefully weigh the pros and cons of his options before committing. Minnesota Vikings, a sleeper team. While the Steelers and Giants are the most talked-about suitors for Rodgers, don't count out the Minnesota Vikings just yet. The Vikings, fresh off an impressive 14-3 season, have quickly become a dark horse in the Rodgers sweepstakes. Despite their success last season, Minnesota is still looking to solidify its quarterback position for the long term. While Kirk Cousins has been a steady option under center, there are signs that the franchise may want to explore other possibilities. The Vikings present a tantalizing opportunity for Rodgers. With a roster filled with elite talent like wide receivers Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Along with Rodgers' former teammate Aaron Jones in the backfield, Minnesota has a high-powered offense that could be a perfect fit for the veteran quarterback. To make matters even more appealing, the Vikings' defense has also been bolstered in the offseason, giving Rodgers a chance to play with a complete team capable of contending for a Super Bowl. The Jets, a new era begins. As for the Jets, the writing seems to be on the wall. After an underwhelming 5-12 season, which was marked by Rodgers' injury struggles, New York is officially preparing to move on from the future Hall of Famer. The Jets' decision to part ways with Rodgers is a part of a larger shakeup that could reshape the franchise's future. According to sources, the Jets will release Rodgers after the new league year begins, although he's already free to speak with other teams and explore his options. The Jets' poor performance last season, coupled with Rodgers' Achilles injury, meant that the franchise's hopes of building a championship contender around him were dashed. With their eyes now focused on a fresh start, the Jets are looking for a new quarterback to lead them into the future. But even as they prepare to part ways with Rodgers, they haven't completely closed the door on him, and he remains free to negotiate with other suitors. Meanwhile, the quarterback carousel continues to spin across the league. The Jets have met with veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, and they are also set to sit down with Russell Wilson, who has had his own struggles in recent years. Wilson, who was once seen as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, is now a free agent and will be meeting with both the Browns and the Giants in the coming days. The waiting game, retirement, free agency, and a league in limbo. As teams wait for Rodgers to make his decision, the NFL finds itself in a state of suspense. Executives from around the league are urging caution when it comes to signing quarterbacks, as the free agent market and draft options remain fluid. Former NFL GM Doug Y recently quipped that Rodgers is holding the Steelers hostage, as his delayed decision could keep other teams in limbo for weeks. Retirement is still very much on the table for Rodgers, and the NFL world is holding its breath as the veteran quarterback contemplates his next move. For Rodgers, the decision is likely to be a deeply personal one. Will he retire as one of the game's all-time greats, or will he return for one final season in search of another championship? The clock is ticking, and as we wait for the next chapter in this ongoing saga, one thing is certain: Rodgers' decision will send ripples across the NFL. Russell Wilson, a potential rival for Rodgers? While Rodgers is taking his time to make a call on his future, one thing is clear: he's not the only quarterback with questions hanging over his head. Russell Wilson, the former Super Bowl winning quarterback, is also a free agent and is actively exploring new opportunities. In fact, Wilson is scheduled to meet with both the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants soon. If Wilson were to land in Cleveland, he would immediately be in competition with the Browns' incumbent quarterback, Deshaun Watson, as well as Pittsburgh's own Kenny Pickett, who was recently traded from the Steelers. If Rodgers lands in Pittsburgh, he would immediately become the face of the Steelers franchise, competing with Pickett for the starting role. The NFL waits. As we wait for Rodgers to make his decision, the NFL stands at a crossroads. The future of one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game is in limbo, and every potential landing spot holds its own set of exciting possibilities. Rodgers' next move will reverberate throughout the league, with teams in desperate need of a franchise quarterback watching closely. In the coming weeks, the NFL landscape could shift dramatically depending on